itself over time. In the 1800s, my great-grandfather came to America, a new country, at the age of 16 with a cousin a few years older. I guess the Prussian army was taking young kids to fight a war. I don't know, but my guess it was for material wealth or a religious principle. He was first a lumberjack up north, then made the Oklahoma land run, made good with crops and cattle, then retired in San Diego. He bought each son a starter farm, my grandfather's farm in Kansas. My grandfather lived to 99, paying all his expenses from which he had earned. Dad was in World War II, then farmed the land and worked some in town. I just missed the Vietnam War. Dad was glad, as he said it was for money. I worked in town, then started a farm in Oklahoma. My son joined the military at a young age and went to boot camp in San Diego and died in the Iraq War at the age of 22. They told me it was for Iraqi freedom. My son had nothing against people from a different country, but George Bush ordered him to go there. My son was not the only one killed in this war. I've heard 500,000 to a million, and you say 1,360,000. Iraqi people have been killed, and maybe 3 million have moved from their homes. The numbers are large, but to me, one is too many if it was for money. At my son's grave, it says for Operation Iraqi Freedom, but I'm sure it was for material wealth, hiding behind a religious principle. I know most Americans are only worried about the economy, so I guess our leaders will sweep this war over lies under the rug, and someday history will repeat itself. Bush and Cheney said to give it time, and they might be right. I believe that the same as when Bush said he talked to a higher father, meaning God himself, before going to war in Iraq. I do know after many tomorrows, the dead from this war will still be dead. I'm glad I chose farming because working with nature brings a peaceful solitude, less apt to be consumed by greed. Now later in my life, I wish I was a judge or prosecutor so I could hold Bush, Cheney, and all who traded my son for material wealth accountable. With our judicial system in America, Bush and Cheney may skate away free, but in my judgment, it's murder, and history will repeat. Maybe in a few more generations, people will hold the ones in power accountable, and it would slow the needless killings of war. For now, it looks as our politicians' backbones we're not quite there yet. I was going to say you were in Palestine. My son didn't take a cell phone with him when he went to Iraq. Of course, you know, where he went, he didn't need one. But he did call home once, one call that I had missed, and he talked to his mom. And he was supposed to guard two terrorists. And my wife said, well, what were they like? What were they like? And he was, well, they were just a father and a son.